Snowstorms were normal in Antarctica, but that morning felt different. The sky was silent, the wind carried no sound, and the frozen ground seemed to breathe like something alive waited under it. Dr. Raylon Cross stood near the drilling site, his hands cold even inside thick gloves. He had worked on many frozen digs before, but this one felt unusual from the start. For 3 months, his team had been drilling through ancient ice. The readings showed something strange buried deep underground. Something metallic, something enormous. At first, Raylon thought the instruments were broken. But every scan said the same thing. There was a structure under the ice, older than any human building ever discovered. The drill finally hit something solid just after sunrise. A loud metallic clang echoed through the frozen air. The workers jumped back, staring down at the drill head. Raylon rushed forward. "Stop all work," he ordered. His voice carried a nervous excitement. "We found it." They cleared the ice with lasers and heat rods. After several hours, the top of a giant metal surface appeared, black and smooth, untouched by time. No scratches, no rust. It looked as if it had been placed there only yesterday. Raylon touched it. The surface vibrated gently under his hand. Alive, he thought, but he pushed the idea away. As they continued clearing, a massive doorway came into view, 20 meters tall. Strange symbols covered the frame. They were not carvings. They were glowing softly, as if aware that someone was finally looking at them again. The team gathered around. "What language is that?" someone whispered. Raylon shook his head. "It looks older than our oldest civilizations. Maybe even older than humans." A scientist named Mara stepped closer. "If this is man-made, then history is wrong." Raylon looked at the doorway and felt a strange fear. "We're going inside." The temperature inside the structure was warm. Torches and lights flickered automatically as soon as they stepped through the entrance. The hallway stretched for hundreds of meters, descending deeper into Earth. The walls were black metal with glowing lines running through them, like veins carrying energy. No one spoke. The silence was too heavy, too deep. It felt like they were walking into a sleeping giant. They entered a massive chamber, the largest underground hall Raylon had ever seen. The ceiling was so high it disappeared into darkness. The air hummed softly, vibrating like distant thunder. At the center of the room stood 12 black monoliths, each the height of a building. Their surfaces were smooth, polished, and pulsing faintly. They were arranged in a perfect circle. Mara whispered, "What are these?" Raylon stepped forward slowly. "I don't know, but they look like machines." The moment he said this, the ground trembled. A low rumble carried through the hall. The monoliths responded, their glow intensifying. A beam of light shot upward from the floor, forming a large round platform in the air. The entire chamber brightened as if waking from a long dream. Suddenly, a figure appeared within the beam, a hologram. But what shocked them was not its form. It was its face. The figure looked human. Not alien. Not strange. Completely human. The hologram spoke in a calm, ancient voice. "To the future children of Earth, if you stand here, then the last age has begun." Everyone froze. Mara covered her mouth. Raylon felt cold sweat run down his neck. The hologram continued. "We were your ancestors. Long before your first city. Long before your first tribe. We fought a war that nearly ended all life." The team stared in disbelief. Raylon whispered, This can't be real." The hologram raised a hand toward the 12 monoliths. "These are the last defense. The 12 vessels. We built them for a future we feared. A future we could not stop." The monoliths began to open. Panels folded outward, revealing dark tunnels inside each one. Energy poured through the cracks like white fire. The hologram's voice grew heavy. "If you found this place, then the enemy has returned. The vessels will wake. You must prepare." The light around the hologram flickered, then vanished suddenly. Silence filled the chamber again. Raylon stared at the now empty beam. "What enemy?" he whispered. "What war?" But before anyone could speak again, the entire chamber shook violently. Dust rained from the ceiling. The monoliths groaned, metal shifting after thousands of years. Mara shouted, "They're opening!" Raylon backed away as the enormous structures unfolded like giant wings. Each monolith revealed a dark interior shape, technology far beyond anything humans had ever built. They were not buildings, not storage units. They were ships. Warships. The ground pulsed under their feet. The air filled with electric heat. The structures floated slightly above their bases, humming like awakening beasts. Raylan's heart pounded. These things, they're not dead. They're waiting. A sudden blast of air swept through the hall as the first ship fully activated. Lights shot across its surface. The floor trembled. A voice echoed through the chamber. Deep, powerful, ancient. Came from everywhere and nowhere at once. Identity confirmed. Human presence detected. Awakening protocol beginning. Raylan's breath caught. The ships were responding to them. And deep in his gut, he knew this discovery was not a blessing. It was a warning. A warning delivered by ancestors they never knew existed. A warning that the world above was no longer safe. The ancient warships were waking, and something out there was coming for Earth. The ground continued to shake long after the monoliths began opening. Dr. Raylon Cross held onto a metal railing as a deep vibration rolled through the ancient hall. It felt like the heart of the Earth was beating faster, waking up from a long sleep. Above his head, white lines of energy ran across the ceiling, forming patterns that shifted like living symbols. Mara stepped closer to one of the unfolding structures. "It's lifting," she said, her voice shaking. From each monolith, a shape rose into the air. Dark, sharp, and enormous. 12 ancient warships floated above their cradles, untouched by time. Their hulls were smooth and black, reflecting the chamber's lights like glass. They gave off a heavy presence, almost like they were watching the humans below. Raylon felt small under them. He whispered, "How can these ships still work?" Before anyone could answer, the chamber lights suddenly changed to a deep red. A warning tone echoed from the walls. The warship's engines hummed louder, growing into a deep roar that shook dust from the ceiling. A metallic voice filled the hall. "Threat signal detected." The team froze. Raylon shouted upward, "What threat? We don't see anything." The voice responded instantly. "External object approaching Earth. Classification: hostile. Distance: 11 hours. Mara, check the outside sensors," Raylon ordered. She ran to a control table near the wall. The table lit up automatically, showing a map of the solar system. A small red dot was moving fast toward Earth, leaving a burning line behind it. Mara's hands trembled. Something big is coming, and it's not slowing down. The ancient warships glowed brighter. White lines appeared across their surfaces, forming patterns that looked almost like scars from old battles. The ships were preparing themselves. Raylon felt his heartbeat quicken. "Are these ships reacting to that thing?" he asked. The same deep voice answered him. "The 12 vessels were created to stop the returning enemy. Activation is required." Raylon stepped forward. "Required by who?" The voice responded after a short pause. "Required by humanity." The words chilled him. It meant the ships recognized humans as their creators, or at least as the children of their creators. Another tremor ran through the chamber as the ships rose higher, breaking free from the last of the frozen supports. The floor beneath them cracked under the force. The massive door at the far end of the hall opened on its own, revealing a long tunnel leading upward. Mara looked at Raylon. "They want to leave." Raylon shook his head. "We're not ready. We don't know how they work." But the warships didn't wait. One by one, they drifted silently toward the tunnel. Their engines emitted a strange blue glow, lighting up the entire cavern. As the first ship reached the tunnel, its wings unfolded slowly, revealing glowing runes that pulsed in sequence. They looked like commands written by a forgotten civilization. A loud alarm rang across the base above them. The scientists and workers who had stayed outside the main chamber ran to the edge of the excavation site, staring in shock as the ground beneath their feet split open. A massive platform rose from below, pushing through the ice like a mountain lifting its head. Then the first ship emerged. Everyone froze. It broke through the icy surface like a dark star rising from the sea. Its wings stretched wide, glowing with ancient power. Ice cracked and fell away from its hull. The ship hovered silently, not using any visible engines. One of the workers whispered, "Is this from humans?" Raylon stepped out of the chamber behind the ship, his coat whipping in the icy wind. "We don't know. But they're answering to us." The sky above was gray, but the ship's glow lit everything around it. The other 11 ships rose one after another, forming a perfect circle in the air. Their silent movement made the sight even more terrifying. Mara climbed out next to Raylon. "Look at the formations. They're trained for war." Raylon nodded. "They weren't built for exploration. These are weapons." Suddenly, the largest ship at the front turned slightly. A beam of blue light shot down from its underside, hitting Raylan's feet. He flinched but didn't move. Mara shouted, "Raylon, step back!" But he stayed still. The light wrapped around him, scanning his body. A voice echoed from the ship. "Primary command candidate detected." Raylon stared at the ship. "Command candidate? For what?" The voice replied, "For leadership of the 12. The wind blew hard, but the world felt quiet. Every human nearby stared at Raylon in fear and awe. Mara grabbed his arm. "Raylon, they're choosing you." "I don't want to be chosen," he whispered. "I'm not a soldier." The voice answered again, as if hearing his thoughts. "Leadership is not optional. The enemy approaches." The ships drifted higher into the sky. Their engines began to glow brighter, casting shadows across the snow. Mara pointed at the horizon. "Look!" In the distance, lightning streaked across the clouds. The sky darkened unnaturally, turning a deep shade of purple. A strange ripple spread through the air like a shock wave. Raylon felt the hair on his arms rise. "That's not a storm," he said quietly. The first ship lifted even higher, preparing for something. The voice spoke one last time before the chapter closed. "Earth is not alone anymore. Prepare." The ancient warships formed their battle line. The first awakening had begun. The strange purple clouds spread across the sky like a living storm. People all over the world saw it. Cities, villages, deserts, oceans. News channels began reporting a massive disturbance in the upper atmosphere. No one knew what caused it. No one had answers. But deep inside Antarctica, Dr. Raylon Cross now understood one thing. The threat the ancient hologram warned about was no longer far away. It was here. Above the icy lands, the 12 ancient warships held their position in a perfect circle. They floated with a calm that felt unnatural, as if they were waiting for someone to strike first. Raylon stood outside in the cold wind, staring at the sky. Mara stood beside him, her breath turning into thin fog. She whispered, "Raylon, the sky is splitting." A long crack of lightning sliced across the purple clouds. But this lightning was not natural. It didn't flash. It stayed open, like a glowing tear in the air. Then the tear widened. Raylon stepped back in fear. "It's an opening. Something is breaking through." A deep rumble rolled across the sky, followed by a strange metallic echo. The ancient ships reacted instantly. Their wings unfolded wider, glowing with bright runes. The blue lines on their hulls pulsed faster, like a heartbeat. A booming sound vibrated in the sky. The tear expanded again, this time revealing something behind it. A giant dark shape slowly pushed through the crack in the clouds. Then another. And another. Dozens of silhouettes appeared, each one larger than any spaceship humans had ever built. Mara grabbed Raylan's arm. "Those are ships. But they're huge. Bigger than everything we have." Raylon swallowed hard. This must be the enemy the hologram warned us about. The alien ships finally broke through the clouds, fully visible now. Their hulls were sharp, jagged, and covered in red glowing patterns. They looked like creatures from a nightmare, predators built for destruction. The 12 ancient warships responded, rising higher into the sky. They formed a new battle formation, a spreading arc that faced the alien fleet directly. A booming voice echoed across Earth's skies, carried through loudspeakers, radios, and every communication system on the planet. It wasn't human. It crackled like burning metal. "Children of Earth, surrender your world. Your forgotten war returns." Mara's eyes widened. "They know us. Raylon whispered. They've been here before. The voice continued. Your ancestors defied us. Your ancestors fell. Now you stand alone. Surrender, or be erased. Every ancient warship reacted at once. Their runes brightened violently. A deep humming sound filled the air, stronger than before. Raylon shouted toward the ships. What are they? Why are they talking like they know us? The familiar deep voice from the ancient vessels answered through all 12 ships at once. Enemy identified. The Drax Dominion. Oppressors of the first human age. Destroyers of the old empire. Raylon felt cold fear crawl through his chest. First human age. There was a first age. The ships ignored his question. Instead, they drifted forward, forming a protective line between the alien fleet and Earth. The Drax ships began spreading across the sky. Thousands of smaller vessels emerged from the larger ones, forming a swarm that covered half the horizon. Mara stared with horror. Raylon, there are too many. Even our best modern fleet is nothing compared to that. He nodded. This is a full invasion. At that moment, the largest Drax ship positioned itself above the others. It looked like a massive spearhead wrapped in burning metal. Its front opened, revealing a swirling red energy core. The air around it vibrated like a volcano ready to erupt. The alien voice returned. You were not meant to unlock the 12. Your time has ended. Your planet is claimed. Raylon clenched his fists. Earth doesn't belong to you. But he knew words meant nothing now. Only the ships could answer. The first ancient warship shot forward. Its black hull blazed with bright white lines. The sound of its engines echoed like thunder. It moved with impossible speed, stopping right in front of the Drax spearhead ship. Mara gasped. It's challenging them. The Drax responded instantly. The spearhead ship fired a blast of red energy. It cut through the clouds like a meteor. The ancient warship met the blast head-on. Its front opened, releasing a shield of white light. The red beam hit the shield, lighting up the entire sky. A deafening shockwave exploded outward, shaking the ice, the earth, the bases, everything. Raylon shielded his face. Mara dropped to her knees. When the light faded, the ancient ship was still there, alive, glowing brighter. But the Drax had many ships. Thousands. The deep voice from the ancient fleet spoke again. This is the beginning of the conflict. The enemy has returned. Earth must prepare. Raylon looked at Mara. This is bigger than us. We need leaders, armies, governments. Everyone must know. She nodded. The world must unite right now. The 12 ancient warships moved again, spreading out across the sky like guardians taking their positions. The Drax fleet responded, opening their weapons and spreading fire across the clouds. The first attack had begun, and the battle for Earth was no longer far away. It had already started. The sky above Earth burned with red and white light as the ancient warships and the Drax fleet locked in a silent standoff. The air in Antarctica felt heavy, almost frozen in fear. Dr. Raylon Cross could hear his own heartbeat louder than the wind. But high above the ice, inside the largest ancient ship, someone else was about to face the truth. Someone who never expected to take command of humanity's oldest secret. That person was Admiral Kaylin Ward. She had been flown to the base only hours earlier, after world leaders saw the sky tearing open. Kaylin had commanded Earth's strongest fleets, but nothing in her career matched the sight waiting for her. Now she stood inside the command chamber of the largest ancient vessel. The moment she stepped forward, the floor lit up under her boots. Lines of white energy crawled across the walls, forming symbols and shapes that looked older than language itself. Kaylin whispered, "What is this place?" The ship answered with a deep voice that felt alive. "Welcome, Commander of the New Age." Kaylin stiffened. "I didn't agree to anything." The ship responded, unfazed. "Leadership is determined by lineage and strength. You carry both." She didn't understand. But before she could argue, the room changed. A bright light exploded around her, blinding her. Her breath caught. Her knees weakened. Then the world around her shifted. Suddenly, she was standing in a massive city of silver towers. The sky above it was filled with thousands of ships, ships that looked exactly like the ancient vessels now floating over Earth. But the city wasn't familiar, and the people walking its streets were not modern humans. They looked human, but stronger, taller. Their eyes glowed faintly with silver light. Their armor was engraved with symbols she had seen on the monoliths. Kaylin whispered, "What am I seeing?" The ship spoke inside her mind. "Your mind is receiving memory fragments. The truth of the first human age." Kaylin watched wide-eyed as soldiers lined up in a giant courtyard. A leader stood before them, wearing armor that shone like a star. "Our enemy returns," he said. "The Drax Dominion seeks our extinction." The crowd roared in anger. Kaylin could feel the fear and the fire of the ancient people, humans who lived long before recorded history. Their voices shook the ground. The leader pointed to the sky. "We must defend this world, and the others under our protection. Our children will survive, even if we fall." Kaylin felt her chest tighten. "You fought the Drax before," she whispered. "And you lost." The ship answered. "The first age fell. Our cities burned. Our worlds were taken. We hid the 12 and erased the memories of our children, hoping they would rebuild in peace." Kaylin watched as the ancient leader activated a huge gateway. Thousands of children were sent through, crying, protected by soldiers who knew they would never return. The ship added softly, "You are their descendants, the new humans." Kaylin felt cold. History wasn't wrong. History was incomplete. The memory shifted again. She now saw the last battle of the First Age. Giant warships clashing with Drax destroyers. Planets burning. Space itself tearing apart. 12 ships, the same ones over Earth, stood in formation around a dying star. The ancient commander spoke to them. "If our children ever face the Drax again, these vessels will protect them." Kaylin watched him place his hand on the largest ship. "Find them. Guide them. Fight for them." The memory faded. Kaylin fell to her knees, breathless. She felt like she had lived a whole lifetime in minutes. Sweat dripped down her face. The ship spoke softly. "This is your inheritance. The truth hidden from your world." Kaylin whispered, "Why me?" "You are strong," the ship replied. "You have the mind of a leader and the heart of a protector. The 12 recognize you." Kaylin stood, trembling but determined. "What do you need me to do?" The ship's lights flared bright. "Command us. Prepare Earth. The enemy approaches." Kaylin walked toward the central console. The moment she touched it, the ship responded. The walls opened, revealing a massive view of the battlefield outside. She saw the Drax ships spreading like a black ocean in the sky. Their weapons were charging again. Kaylin clenched her fists. "This time, humanity won't fall." As she spoke, the other 11 ships responded. Their lights flashed. Their engines roared. The Drax ships began to move too, spreading their formation, preparing to strike. Inside the Antarctic base, Raylon and Mara watched the sky turn darker. Mara whispered, "Someone is controlling the ships." Raylon nodded. "They're forming a new pattern." A voice thundered from the largest ship across all communication lines. "This is Admiral Kaylin Ward. I am taking command of the 12. Earth will stand." Raylan's eyes widened. "She's controlling them?" The ancient ships moved fast, forming a shield around Earth. But the Drax weren't waiting anymore. Their flagship opened its front. A huge weapon began charging, red lightning spinning around it like a storm. Kaylin gripped the command center tight. She felt the ancient ship pulse under her hands, ready to follow her command. She took a breath. "Let's show them the strength of both our ages." The battle was seconds away. The truth was revealed. And Earth's fate was now in the hands of a forgotten past. And a determined commander. The sky over Earth darkened until it looked like night, even though it was only afternoon. The Drax flagship hovered above the clouds, its massive form glowing with red storms. The weapon at its center kept expanding, collecting more and more energy, so much that the air itself crackled around it. Inside the ancient command ship, Admiral Kaylin Ward placed both hands on the glowing controls. The ship responded, humming with power that felt older than the planet itself. Kaylin whispered, 12 ships, 1 Earth. We don't have room for mistakes. The ship answered with calm certainty. We will fight with you. Below them, Raylon and Mara watched the sky tremble. The ice around the base cracked in long lines as the pressure in the air increased. Mara pointed upward. They're going to fire. The weapon is almost ready. Raylon nodded. If that blast hits Earth, everything ends. A deep rumble shook the air as the Drax weapon reached full charge. Bright red lightning circled the giant spearhead ship, forming a spinning vortex that looked like a storm of fire. Kalen took a step forward. All vessels, prepare shields. The 12 ancient warships responded instantly. Their wings unfolded wider, glowing brighter than at any time before. White energy formed around them in thin layers, building into thick shields shaped like curved domes. The Drax commander's voice boomed across the planet. Surrender your world. Final warning. Kalen narrowed her eyes. We don't surrender. The Drax weapon fired. A massive beam of red energy shot downward, cutting through the sky like a burning sword. It screamed across the clouds, leaving a trail of fire behind it. The beam struck the center of the ancient fleet, right at the lead ship Kalen controlled. The impact was thunder. The shockwave tore across the air, blasting ice off the ground and shaking the base to pieces. Raylon and Mara covered their faces as the violent light spread across the sky. For a moment, it looked like the ancient ship was swallowed by the blast. Mara cried out, "No!" Then the light cleared, and the ancient ship still stood. Its shield glowed white and bright, burning against the red attack. The ship held its ground, refusing to move even an inch. Kalen gritted her teeth as the force pushed against her. Hold, hold! The ship's voice spoke through the roaring noise. Shields at 90%. 80, 70. Kalen's heart pounded. They can't break us. Not this time. Finally, the Drax beam faded. Silence rolled across the sky. Raylon stared upward in disbelief. They survived. They actually survived. Mara whispered. But the Drax, look. The Drax flagship's weapon began charging again. Kalen knew they wouldn't survive a second direct hit. She slammed her hand forward. All ships, attack pattern A6. Hit the flanks. The ancient ship split instantly into two wings. 6 moved left. 6 moved right. Their engines released glowing trails of white light as they streaked through the sky, dodging enemy fire. The Drax responded with speed. Thousands of smaller red ships launched forward from the main fleet, swarming toward the ancient vessels like angry insects. They moved fast, faster than any craft built in modern times. Kalen didn't hesitate. Activate pulse cannons. Her ship's hull opened at the sides, revealing long glowing channels. The other 11 ships did the same. White orbs of energy formed inside each channel. Fire! The sky erupted. 12 beams shot outward in coordinated arcs, hitting the front of the Drax swarm. Dozens of enemy ships exploded instantly, falling from the sky like burning metal rain. But the swarm didn't stop. Hundreds pushed deeper, surrounding the ancient ships. Raylon watched with shaking hands. They're getting overrun. Kalen remained calm. Rotate formation. Switch to defense rings. The 12 ships formed 2 spinning circles, one inside the other. Their shields linked together, creating a moving shield that deflected dozens of blasts with each rotation. The Drax fired again and again, but the ancient defense held strong. Then something happened that made Kalen's breath stop. The smaller Drax ships split open. From their fronts, long mechanical limbs extended. Their shapes shifted, turning them into sharp, winged beasts of metal and fire. Raylon whispered in shock. They can transform. The transformed ships dove like predators. They shot past the shields and slammed against the ancient vessels with incredible force. The collision made the sky flash white. Kalen staggered as her ship shook. They're boarding vessels. But we have no crew. No crew needed, the ship said. We will defend. Panels opened along the ancient ship sides, revealing long spear-like drones. They shot outward, slicing through the boarding ships with swift, silent precision. Hundreds fell, but hundreds more kept coming. Mara gripped Raylan's arm. They're trying to break the formation. Kalen pressed her hands against the controls. Then we break theirs first. She focused on the Drax flagship. Bring me within firing range. Her ship shot forward, charging toward the biggest Drax vessel like a spear of white light. The other 11 followed, pushing through the waves of enemy fighters. The Drax flagship opened its jaws of red metal, preparing another beam. Kalen leaned in, eyes sharp. Ancient cannon, full power. The ship's core glowed brighter than the sun. The two sides aimed at each other. The Drax commander growled through the speakers. Your world belongs to us. Kalen whispered back. Come and take it. The sky lit up again. Both sides fired. And the first true clash of the war began. Blinding, violent, and world-shaking. Humanity was no longer running. They were fighting back. The moment the sun rose over the world, something ancient woke beneath the earth. Dr. Raiden stood near the edge of the underground hangar as the ground shook. The warship Astra 1, silent for ages, began to glow from deep inside its stone-covered hull. The blue lines that marked its body brightened like veins carrying light. No one touched it. No one activated a switch. No command was given. Still, it awakened. The entire chamber filled with a low humming sound, the type that felt like it came from inside the bones. The soldiers covered their ears. Zara stepped backward. Even the machines around them flickered, losing power as if the warship was pulling energy from everything around. Raiden whispered, "It is alive." Zara didn't move. She felt the vibration travel through the floor and into her legs. The warship seemed to breathe. Its shape was smooth, sharp, and powerful, too advanced to be made by humanity, yet the symbols on the surface were undeniably human. Old human. Pre-civilization human. Suddenly, the main gate of the warship opened with a thundering sound. Dust fell from the ceiling. A beam of blue light spilled out from inside the ship, hitting the stone walls and revealing faded carvings. Zara raised her flashlight and stepped closer. "Look," she said. Carvings of tall, stern-faced humans filled the walls. Humans wearing armor and carrying weapons that looked like stars in their hands. Beneath them were alien figures kneeling, defeated. Raiden's eyes widened. This isn't just a warship. It is a memory. A warning. And it knows we are here. The light from the ship reached Zara. Her wrist device sparked. The AI screen showed ancient symbols turning into modern text. She didn't touch anything, yet it responded. The words read, "Successor confirmed." She froze. What does that mean? Before Raiden could answer, the ground vibrated again, stronger this time. A second warship buried deeper began to activate as well. The blue glow spread across the hangar walls as if a giant heart was beating beneath the earth. A siren echoed through the chamber. Soldiers ran toward their positions. The research team shouted warnings. Then the impossible happened. The warship lifted from the ground. Not slowly. Not with effort. Effortlessly. The dust, rocks, and equipment around it floated like weightless feathers. The ship hovered 2 meters above the platform, glowing brighter each second. The soldiers aimed their weapons, but Raiden shouted, "Stop! If you attack, it may defend itself." The ship's light shifted, forming a soft ring around Zara. It scanned her. She felt warmth across her skin, not painful but strange, like the ship was touching her through light. Zara's voice shook. "Why me?" Raiden stepped beside her. "Because you found it. Because your DNA carries the mark." Zara looked at him sharply. "What mark?" Raiden hesitated. He had been hiding something. Something he knew from the old research files. Before he could speak, the ship acted again. A hologram appeared in front of Zara, a figure wearing ancient human armor, face covered, voice echoing as if from a distant time. "You who bear the blood of the first makers. The enemy has returned." The cycle begins again. Everyone froze. Zara felt chills run through her spine. "Enemy? What enemy?" The hologram's voice grew deeper. "One born outside the known stars. One that hunted us before the first stone city was built." The ground thundered again. Another warship began to rise from its bed. Astra 2, just as giant and frightening. The chamber was now filled with 2 glowing giants awakening after thousands of years. Raiden whispered, "We woke them at the worst time." Zara stared at the hologram. "What do you want from us?" The voice replied, "We want nothing. You want survival." As the hologram vanished, energy rushed through the hangar. Consoles lit up. Screens flashed warnings. Old symbols flashed across the walls. The ships were powering up faster. The soldiers looked terrified. Scientists backed away. Even Raiden's hands trembled. Zara felt the ship calling her, like a distant heartbeat synced with her own. Then, something even more shocking happened. The ceiling above them cracked open. Dust and rocks fell as a massive hidden tunnel was revealed. The ancient warships had opened a path to the surface, as if they intended to leave immediately. The wind pulled inward through the gap, carrying fresh daylight. Zara stepped toward Astra 1, unable to resist. Raiden grabbed her arm. "Zara, the moment you step inside, nothing will be the same." She looked at the glowing entrance, then back at him. "I know, but we don't have a choice. Something is coming." A loud boom echoed through the mountain, like a distant roar across the sky. Everyone turned toward the sound. It wasn't thunder. It wasn't an earthquake. It was something approaching Earth. Zara took a deep breath and stepped into the warship. The door closed behind her. The warship responded instantly, its systems waking fully. The engines ignited with a blinding pulse of blue. Outside, Raiden watched helplessly as Astra 1 prepared to rise. And far above them, in the sky, a dark shadow passed over the clouds. Something ancient had returned. Inside Astra 1, Zara felt the deck tremble beneath her feet as the ancient warship came fully alive. The interior was smooth metal mixed with glowing symbols. Every surface hummed with energy. The ship sensed her presence and reacted like it had been waiting for her for countless ages. A calm voice echoed through the ship, neither male nor female. "Pilot accepted. Systems unlocking." Panels opened around her. Pathways lit up. Seats turned toward her as if invisible hands guided them. Zara swallowed hard and sat in the command seat. The moment she touched it, her vision exploded with blue light. She saw flashes, memories not hers. Ancient humans building giant cities of stone and metal. Armies marching beneath alien skies. The warships flying in dark space against monstrous shadows. Screams. Fire. Stars dying. And finally, the evacuation of the last survivors, sending the warships to Earth for safekeeping. The vision ended in a sharp breath. Zara grabbed the armrest, trembling. "These ships, they weren't made for glory," she whispered. "They were made for survival." Outside, Raiden watched as the ceiling continued to break open. More blue light flooded the chamber. Astra 1 floated higher, ready to leave. A sudden alarm blared across the ship. An image appeared in front of Zara. A dark object entering Earth's orbit. Sharp. Massive. Alive. The enemy. The same enemy her ancestors had fought long before human civilization ever began. The ship's voice echoed. "Enemy vessel detected. Preparing defense protocol." Zara leaned forward. "No. Show me." The hologram zoomed in. A black, insect-like creature the size of a small city drifted above the atmosphere. Its body glowed with molten cracks. It looked like a nightmare made of stone and shadow. Long tentacles hung beneath it, twitching like hungry claws. Raiden saw it on the surface screens too. "My God! This thing isn't a ship. It's alive." Soldiers screamed orders while scientists took cover. Cameras outside the mountain recorded the monstrous figure descending from space. A second warning flashed. Multiple signatures detected. More shapes appeared behind the first. Smaller creatures, scouts, breaking off and diving toward Earth like burning stars. Zara felt her heartbeat rise. "Ship, can we fight them?" "Affirmative," the ship answered. "But you must accept full command. You must link with the helm." Zara hesitated. "What happens if I do?" "Your mind becomes the guide. Your fear becomes the weapon." She took a deep breath. For a moment, she felt like a child staring at a storm she couldn't stop. But then she remembered the carvings. The old humans. The message. "You want survival." She placed her hands on the glowing helm. Light shot up her arms. Her vision sharpened. She felt the ship's power rush into her thoughts. Astra One's engines roared so loud the entire mountain shook. Outside, soldiers ran from the chamber as the warship rose like a giant waking to battle. Raiden shouted at her through the comms. "Zara! You don't have to do this alone." Her voice came through steady and strong. "I'm not alone. The past is with me." Astra One burst through the mountain roof, spraying rocks into the sky. The ship soared upward with blazing blue streaks behind it. The moment it reached the clouds, the enemy saw it. The creature turned. Its molten cracks glowed brighter. A piercing scream shook the air. Birds fell from the sky in fear. Zara gripped the helm as energy built inside the ship. Astra One fired its first blast, a beam of white-blue light that split the clouds. It hit the creature's armor, burning a deep wound across its body. The monster shrieked and launched dark projectiles from its body, spikes that streaked toward the ship. Zara dodged. She didn't move her body. The ship moved with her thoughts. It twisted, rolled, and slipped through the sky like a living arrow. Then, something unexpected happened. The second ancient warship, Astra II, burst out of the mountain, engines blazing. Lights danced across its hull. Raiden stood inside its command chamber, supported by a crew of soldiers and scientists. He shouted through the radio, "Zara! You didn't think we would let you face this alone, right?" Zara laughed with relief. "Let's finish what our ancestors started." The two warships rose side by side above Earth's atmosphere. Below them, the giant creature moved to attack again. More dark shapes were closing in. Zara's eyes narrowed. "Astra One, prepare the core strike." The ship responded instantly. Core strike charging. A glowing sphere formed beneath the warship, bright enough to turn night into day. The enemy creature sensed danger and lunged upward. But it was too slow. Zara unleashed the core strike. A massive wave of white light shot across the sky. The creature's body cracked, shattered, and exploded into millions of burning fragments that rained harmlessly into the ocean. The smaller creatures fled. The sky cleared. Earth was safe, for now. Astra One lowered its power. Zara leaned back in her seat, breathing hard. Raiden's ship floated beside hers. Raiden spoke softly. "This was only the first one, wasn't it?" Zara looked toward deep space. There, in the far darkness, she saw faint shapes moving. "More are coming." She tightened her hands on the helm. "Then we will be ready." The ancient warship slowly descended toward Earth. Two giants awakened after thousands of years, with a new generation ready to finish a war that humanity never knew had begun. The battle was not over. It was only the beginning.